How's everybody doing? This is Kyle here from KyleKraft. Welcome back to building a survival base. If we look out our window right here, we can see what we're building next. Now there were a few different ways we could have taken this. We could have built a mine, gotten some resources, but instead I wanted to build a farm. That's what I normally do next. I get my house set in and then I build a farm. I need some food. Another thing I noticed specifically on this seed is there's actually a village up there. So if I really was playing on this world, I probably would go to that village, get some crops, and then make my own farm over here. There's a ton more benefits of building the farm now that I'll get to as I teach you and walk you through how to make this farm. A good looking starting survival farm. By the way, I really want to walk down that path with you because it looks amazing, but we'll get to it after I walk you through the build. So let's get to it. So here we go, flying in. It's time to build this simple starting survival farm. We want to have it nice and easy to get some crops, but it's also going to look very good down the line and right away once we add it into our survival base. So you'll see instead of using fences, I'm going with slabs to make the different details a little bit cooler, different, unique. I'll talk about it in detail in a little bit, but let's talk about this little shack. Just a little shack to house our chests for seeds. So it's only going to be 4x4. It's really cool, it's really small, it's really quaint, looks good in the end. Simple oak logs on the corners and then stairs upside down and straight up for the actual walls, just to bring a little bit more detail into this small shape. You'll see I extended the poles up for the roof. I used birch on the trim. We got rid of those extended poles in the carpets. It ended up looking terrible. Just extend more simple, different texture wood. Oak for me, you know, it was different than the birch wood that we used on the trim. Extending it up with slabs, it looks really sharp. Adding in the floor, we did that birch to match with the trim of the outside, and then put our chests that we'll use for seeds. Put carpet, but take it out, it doesn't look good. I put a hoe on the wall. It adds to the actual farm environment and feel of the build, and it looks cool and it's useful, you know, because you need it for growing crops and seeding the land. Now I extended out and did more of the trim. Now I just mentioned we actually did slabs instead of fence posts. It looks cool, it's different than just doing those fence posts. Fence posts can be messy at different times trying to intersect them together. And this looks really cool with the crops grown in, you'll see. Now I had the path extending across from the house, you know we want to connect it up. We want to have an interconnected base looking real sharp all together. It's amazing, it'll come together as we continue through the episodes of the survival base. And then we're going to put in more of the birch trim. So I went with birch just because it stands out more in the land. I like that better than the oak, but you could use oak if you want. Extend that hillside out. I would recommend doing this on a hillside because it looks a lot better. You'll see it in a little bit. And then we run those past those slab walls, edges, into the hill. So, you know, we can cut them off at different points, extend them across. It looks really sweet. Take out all the grass. We're going to plant some seeds in just a moment. And you can use water or punch them out if you're in survival and it's just easier. Now you'll see the farm really come to life. On that top row I did wheat, but on that row after, you know, that level after, I actually did carrots. That's one of the cool things. You can separate these rows with these different hillsides. It looks amazing and it's effective to get different crops in there. So the rest of the time I use wheat. I think the wheat looks the best anyway, so that's what I wanted to go with. And you'll see it all come together. Already looks amazing filled in on that birch. You know, you have the darkness of the ground when it's early in the growth. Compared to the birch looks really cool, and then once it's all grown in, which you'll see in a little bit, it looks amazing as well. So you'll see that entire environment filled out. I'll talk to you about those water source blocks in just a little bit, and then you see that little smaller farm extending out from the bottom right. It looks cool, separating it off, having these different areas all coming together in the build, intersecting the path. It looks really sweet. You got this huge section plotted out. So you can see now what I'm talking about in terms of that section of land. You can see, even though it's easy to build straight away in survival Minecraft, our farm covers a large area. You know, it's efficient, we get our food, but it covers a large area, which is great. We want to have a large base. A bigger base is always something to strive for. Covering more area, covering more land like this makes it look cool, but also adds to the entire base, both in the size and the look. I mean, you see what I mean? We could have a smaller row-based farm like the ones in the actual village over there, but they don't look as cool. If you have a huge cropland filling up the side of a mountain or a wall or a hill or just plains all around, it just looks sweet in the end. That's the way I look at it. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I like the farmlands, but it adds to your base. It gives it a whole different vibe compared to just a small farm in the corner. Your base covers land. It's more than just a simple little build. But with that said, this is a very simple farm to make. You know, all we use is wood for the different structures, the trim, and then use crops to fill in the rest. And as I mentioned, I wanted to walk down this path with you. Look at how amazing it looks, having the different ascending levels. Absolutely amazing. I went with carrots on the edge up there to see how it would look. I think I would kind of like the wheat better right there, just to keep it consistently wheat and not a different color in there. But you can definitely separate different levels of area with different crops, do what you want to do. And let me tell you, in the end, when you're standing amongst them all, it looks cool. Gathering the wheat up is very simple. You could just mow down huge sections at a time, then plug it back in. Also, I recommend getting some lily pads so you can just walk over those water sources, not have any trouble with them. Works really well, and you get huge sections of wheat all at once. I do want to mention why I did this instead of a mine, because if you set this up, while you're digging and setting up your mine, the crops can be growing, giving you food. When I get this survival base started, of course I need my house, but then I want food growing so that when I'm building up my mine to get resources or whatever I'm doing, gathering materials, this is all growing, giving me more food for the future. And this little shack mixed in the farms is perfect. It gives you a building, a structure to mix in, but it also ties in perfectly to the farms. And it's a fun little structure, and it's going to match up with the rest of our survival base going on. But yes, that's episode 2 of building up your survival base. The farm is in place. Hopefully you're enjoying this series. I'm having a lot of fun with it already. And there is an absolute ton left to do. I'm so excited. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments if you did and what you think of that farm design. But yeah, I'll see you next Saturday. That's it for this one. Thanks for coming.